Okay. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Thanks for being here with me today. And Sophia, thanks for such a nice introduction. Let's play that. Oops, this is a video. So with a very broad brush, my work is about movement, migration, immigration, displacement. Under this larger umbrella, loosely categorized, is global migration, environmental displacement, and immigration. I know these are huge topics, and I don't do everything well, but I really try to tackle it. And I really believe that art has the capacity to do that. So migration is also about loss. It's also about lost. And we often identify lost with getting geographically lost, although these days Siri does bring us back. We also think about lost as lost in thought, lost in reverie. Oh, not yet. Okay, just keep it there. Okay, and lost in love and losing our way in life. But what if you were lost because you had to leave your home, your country, your family, your community, your possessions, your history, your identity? And in some ways, I feel that way. I came to the United States at a very early age, and as an immigrant, I often felt lost just trying to straddle two cultures. Okay. So, I came to the States when I was about 7 years old, and I really thought that I was going to see the streets of New York City paved in gold. Well, they weren't. But my dad picked us up in this old, beat-up, Chevy with rocket ship lights, and I really loved that car. Unfortunately, we lost the car in a big pothole eventually. Next. So I want to share this 1-minute excerpt. It's one of my videos, and it's probably one of my more autobiographical ones. So we can play that. Oops. Have to play it. That was 1 minute out of a 5-minute video, and it really just talks. It starts with my personal biography, and then it goes on to kind of a global view. Next. So I was raised in a very traditional Chinese household, and I really feel it's important for me to embody tradition without exact replication of it. And so this is a series of work that I've started called The Accumulation of Dreams. And in this, I use tea and gold. And tea is the metaphor, in this case, for the Asian culture, and gold as symbols of, the California gold rush, gold for opportunity, gold for success. It's a symbol of success. Okay. So I'm often accused of being lost in reverie. I mean, you know, my husband's always like, hello. So I love the natural world. I go out a lot and just film. The land, the sea, the sky really inspires my work. And the solitude. So I think that it's saved me from being lost in many cases, just being out there. Okay, next. So Lost in Reverie brought me to this project. I had not done video at all, but I really was determined to portray the sky in a way that I felt really mattered to me. And so for a year, I filmed clouds, only clouds in the sky. And this is a 40-minute video. This is a 30-foot projection, and it's only about clouds. And in this case, I worked with a Boston composer named Tamara Diezendruck. She's actually a chamber composer, but we did field recordings. And so it has a lot of just everyday sounds included in this. This was shown at the Weissman Art Museum in Minneapolis. And this is a movie, so we could click it again. So the other piece of this is called Bursts and Whispers, and it's a 4-channel projection onto the ceiling of the Weissman Art Museum. This museum was built by Frank Gehry. And again, it's about clouds. Clouds, and you know, they're kind of my, it's a metaphor for movement. And really, I think what I'm really wanting to convey in this is the natural world, and to share that with you, and to just, you know, try to convey that this is the only world we have, so it'd be really great for us to take care of it and not lose it. Next. So this is a piece that is done right outside this door. All of you are sitting on the site in which many immigrant families, predominantly Chinese and Syrian, were displaced in the 1960s for that wonderful highway behind you. And so it seemed an appropriate location to have this work outside and on the site of a displaced property. I worked with the community here in Chinatown, as well as the Powell Art Center and several of the other organizations here in Boston. It really is about environmental displacement. And each tent has a different video. So one of them is really about feedback from the Chinatown community about environment, about their immigration process, about what they care about. Another one is about the severe climate situation in our world. Another one is about why we camp, because we love camping. Okay, next. So let's go back to global migration. And this is a map that I made for an exhibition at the ICA in Portland, Maine. And this consists of red thread and sandpaper and silver ink. And it's about 10 by 14 feet, more or less. And it, really it talks about the current global migration yet again. Currently, it's 70.5 million people that are displaced. That's a huge number. Okay, next. And so this leads me to a project that I actually did in 2016 called Crossings. And this is in collaboration with an artist in Minneapolis. Her name is Harriet Bart. We've collaborated on 3 major projects now. And this piece, we really wanted to talk about walking as necessity. This was part of Carleton College's festival about walking. And so, they were talking about, do you know Rebecca Solnit's book? Just kind of, all right. Anyway, it refers back to the global migration issues. So it's a 40-foot video and 6 tons of rocks. Next. And it's, in this video, I really emphasize numbers. It's all about the numbers here. And many of the rocks are numbered as well. So the Carleton College students got to number rocks and help us put this together. Okay, next. And here is, near the end of the video, it's a stream of falling numbers. Okay, next. All right. So with that brief overview of other migration works, I would like to focus now on leavings and belongings. And you can see this pile of bundles. This is actually a very small pile. I have over 1,000 bundles. So next. Here we go. So this Leavings and Belongings is a project giving voice to the refugee and immigrant who make it here to the United States. The sessions are held actually for the public as well, because if you're native born, you're likely to have your family came from another location. And so I started these sessions in Worcester with the Southeast Asian Coalition, in Maine when I was there for the migration show, and I worked with Economic Opportunities. So these are different pockets and populations of immigrant refugee populations coming in. And many of these are also the POW Center. I held several sessions here. Okay, next. And this is examples of groups that were in Santa Fe. And this is with the Adelante Women's Collective, and also with the Refugee Wellbeing Organization in Albuquerque. So I was really, really fortunate to be invited to be the artist in residence here. And it really gave this project a place in which I could host these sessions. It's a safe place. It's a place that people know, and people can, and there was a schedule and a calendar, and then I would also make appointments if you wanted to come other times. I am really grateful to be the keeper of many of the stories, and I hope that I've done justice to these stories in the best way I can. So next. So these are some of the participants. At the end of our groups together in our conversations, I've asked people if they would like to be photographed. I started with this big camera lens, but in the end, I ended up using an iPhone because everybody was a lot more comfortable in front of their iPhones. So these are just iPhone pictures, and people who would say, no, I don't want to be in front of it, later on would want to take a selfie with me. So I really felt it was a comfort level for everyone to share their story, their bundle, themselves. They're so proud of what they made. And but the sad thing is, I have to tell them that the bundles come with the project, because this project, I hope, will travel across the country in different forms. Okay, next. This is just a close-up of many of the bundles with their tags. I've encouraged people to write them in their own languages, their country of origin, and then I try to translate it during the time that they're here. Okay, next. So this is a view at the POW Art Center. If you just walk out, you probably recognize the lobby and then the hallway. And this was an exhibition in this year, May to August. And it's really the culmination of everything that I've done here at the center. So you see in one iteration, there is a corner pile. It's about this high of bundles. And then, next, there is a long route and a pathway. It's about 25 feet long and about 4 feet high. And it leads to a video which I like to share with you at the end of our time together. Next. Oops, go back one more. Oop, are we missing one? Okay, go back. There is a group of photographs, and these are many of the participants, and I've interlaced it with the red line. The red line has been an important part of my work. In the Chinese culture, it's blood ties, family ties. So I've incorporated here, I think they represent in many ways borders and just bloodlines. Okay, next. And here is another iteration. This was a hub week this year, and I was invited by Open Avenues Foundation and the New American Economies to do a project about my migration work, but I thought it was a really cool place to do a bundle installation. And so it's in a 6x6x6 cargo container. And yeah, the theme of this particular piece of this hub week was foreign-born, Boston-based, immigrant-led. Okay, next. This is a rendering that I've made. This will be shown at Site Santa Fe in March 2020. Site is a contemporary art museum. And yeah, it's a teaser, so come on out. And there'll be other aspects and other parts of this installation that'll be really cool. Okay. So I'm really hoping that these bundles will travel across the countries, to civic centers, to libraries, to museums, to places that really we need to discuss this conversation about immigration. Yes, so let's play this. This is the piece that was at the end of the route at I'm going to read this one. My grandmother is from an aristocratic family. When the communists came, she fled from her home alone with her children. My grandfather was in the Air Force and unable to help them in time. Her bundle had all her family's heirlooms, gold and jade. The first time she lost it was when she was captured by the communist guerrillas. They had hidden it in a haystack, but were discovered. Fortunately, she had thrown her bundle into a dry well before they hid. When they were finally released, they came back to the well and her son climbed down to retrieve it. They managed to make the last boat from Canton to Taiwan. But as they were boarding, the soldiers made everyone throw their bundles into the sea to fit more people. My grandmother's bundle is at the bottom of the ocean. So next. What I'd like to do now in conclusion is to ask 3 people to read stories from one of these bundles. If I could just pass them to you. Would you like to start?
Sure.
Okay.
Hello.
My bundle will take the shape of a tear. It will be the color of white for the tears I have shed. It will also be tainted by the color of red for the blood I've escaped, the color of black for the darkness I have endured, and the color of gray for the uncertainty I have faced. I would like to dedicate this bundle to those who were not as lucky as I, and who have had the opportunity to take the journey. To those who have attempted to take the journey but failed or never made it, and to those who took the journey and arrived.
Thank you. I'll give this to you.
I left Iran in 1979 due to religious persecution. My house was burned to the ground because my family refused to convert. I belong to the Baha'i faith. My faith is being persecuted in my native land. I escaped and went to India for safety.
My grandfather emigrated from Portugal. One day when I was a child, he told me this story. In the old country, we were told that the roads in America were paved with gold. When I got here, I learned that the roads were not paved at all, and that I was expected to pave them.
Thank you. And there are many, many more stories. The video that you saw is only one chapter of all the gifts I've been given. So, yeah, one more. Yeah, here we go. It's a video. So the bundles keep coming, and if you want to participate in any of this project, there's a book there to please, and you can contact me, or we can get connected, and we'll set something up. There's also tags out there if you would like to even just write a story today. So thanks so much.